look so beautiful, and I'm so lucky to be yours, and you're taking me high.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, we post videos twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday. And Fridays are Focused Friday videos, which help you get focused to accomplish something on your to-do list. But today is Tuesday, so this is gonna be a little bit different than pretty much any video I have ever done. This is, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be doing the controversial parenting tag, but I'm going to be doing a little more than just that because I feel like my answers need kind of a backdrop, if that makes sense, of why they're going to be how they are. So that's gonna sound super confusing, but trust me, bear with me. Let me explain this a little bit real quick, and then we'll jump into the tag questions and see where I stand on controversial parenting issues. So I, just like every single person on this planet, I don't know everything. It's not possible to know everything on this planet. So just kind of as a disclaimer there. But one thing I do know is that there are a couple things, amongst many others I'm sure, but there are a couple things that stand out to me as almost like, I don't know how to say it, as the biggest impediments to civil discourse and to society moving forward in a productive way, to debates among friends, family, people, strangers, whoever it may be, that are healthy and productive and not judgy and attacking, all of that stuff. The first one of those is the human desire to be comfortable in a box, basically. So everybody feels the need to fit into this box or this box based on whatever opinion they have, whatever area of life that they're in. There are these boxes that they feel like they need to fit into, and that gray area in between is uncomfortable for people. And I think one of the biggest problems with society is that people are uncomfortable in that gray area. I think for progress to happen and for change to happen, or even for things to stay the same, but for people to kind of get on the same page, at least somewhat, about those things, people need to become comfortable in the uncomfortable gray area. So the reason I'm saying this is because some of my answers are going to be a gray area type of thing, and it's not a cop-out. It's not just me not wanting to pick a side to offend people, because I really, honestly, like, this sounds bad, but I don't really care. One of the mottos I live by is that other people's opinion of me is none of my business. So as long as I'm doing the best I can, learning the most that I can, and making educated decisions, I'm cool with it. But I also love healthy debate. I thrive with debate, and having two sides of something, or 3 or 4 or 5, however many different sides and opinions that there are of something, all together, having a civil conversation about it. So I really, really love that, and I think more people need to get into that gray area and be comfortable there. Force themselves out of that comfortable box. In order to help myself do this more, I read books from authors who have complete different viewpoints than I do. I listen to podcasts and politicians who are on the completely different side of the spectrum that I am. I completely internalize and really listen to and hear and look into the opinions that are against what my own are, to see all of the different sides of something, so that I can make that decision myself, whether I am comfortable putting myself in this box, or whether I am more in the gray area, which is okay. The second problem, I think, with society in general, specifically debate around every kind of issue, is when people speak on topics that they're not knowledgeable about. I'm going to use kind of an example, and you're actually going to see this thought play out in my controversial parenting decisions with one of the things that I'm going to talk about. But knowledge is power. I know that's super cliche, but it's absolutely true. And knowledge can come in so many different ways. It doesn't mean going to college and getting a degree. Yes, you can gain knowledge by doing that, but that's not the only way to do it. It can mean growing up with grandparents who tell you stories about how they lived their life and learning kind of things from your own experiences or whatever that may be. But a lot of the time, people in general, and I've been guilty of it in the past as well, talk about things, give opinions about things that they really don't know anything about. So anybody that knows me knows that I am not going to have a debate about something that I don't know anything about, because it's not productive. I don't even know what I'm talking about, and there's really no point to it. It's just kind of a waste of time and breath when we could be doing more productive things or enjoying ourselves doing other things. So can I go and learn about that thing? Can I soak in all the knowledge that I possibly can? Can I listen and just take in the experiences of others and the knowledge of others to try to make myself aware of what's going on with that particular topic? Absolutely. And that's what I think we should all strive to do, because like I said, knowledge is power, and the more you know, the more sympathetic you can be, the more well-rounded your decisions and opinions are, and just the better person you are in general. So tying those two things together, we need to, as a society, we need to stop putting ourselves in these boxes in areas of our life that shut us out from anything the other box of people has to say, because it's uncomfortable. We need to put ourselves in that uncomfortable spot and force ourselves to be there. And it may not change how you feel, and that's fine, but at least you can say that you have heard about experiences and opinions of all the sides with open ears, not with judgy ears, and are able to form your opinion and stand behind it based on all of the information that you could possibly have. So with that being said, let's get into the controversial parenting tag. The first controversial parenting choice is pro-choice or pro-life. And again, this is one of those prime examples of people feel the need to put themselves in this box or this box. And I can officially say that I can't put myself in either box. I am in the gray, uncomfortable area, and I am comfortable being in that uncomfortable area because I have conflicting opinions about this. For myself personally, for my body, if I am growing a baby, which I am growing a baby right now, but like if I unintentionally get pregnant in the future, or something happens, God forbid, to me and it ends up in a pregnancy, whatever the case may be, I do not see myself ever being able to make the choice to abort a baby, personally. I also do not like the idea that anybody else would choose to do that, or would have to choose to do that. And so that part of me is tugging at the other part, which lives in the other box, of I also don't believe it's my right to make that decision for somebody else. So it's kind of one of those things where I can see both sides of the debate. I can see and relate to arguments on both sides of the debate. I also look at kind of the infrastructure that we have in our country and see that there is no way we are even close to having the facilities and the services that are necessary for even more unwanted babies. The system is already overloaded as it is. There are so many children in foster care and that are being mistreated, and how can I with a good conscience say, yes, let's add to that problem, but not fix any of the structural underlying stuff? So what my kind of say on the topic is that what needs to happen is that we don't need to pass laws banning abortions. We don't need to try to tell people what they can and can't do in those choices, because what's going to be more effective is educating women on their different options, creating support systems that are actually supportive and not just like masks of amazingness that really don't do anything. Boostering the foster system to be someplace that actually children can thrive in and not have to fight to survive in. Making adoption something that's more feasible for more families, because that's obviously another huge obstacle that is faced. There are so many different things that can be changed that would help the problem and lower the abortion rate other than passing a law saying that it's illegal. So that's my opinion on pro-choice versus pro-life. Again, kind of in a gray area, but I'm okay with that because I'm okay being uncomfortable. On the other side of the spectrum, where I am comfortable putting myself into a box, is spanking or not spanking. I was raised in a family who never physically laid a hand on us as kids. Anthony was raised in a family where he was swatted, even at school. He was raised in the South. So, and we both turned out to be great people, obviously. Like, I wouldn't be with him if he wasn't a great person. So, I mean, there's that. But I have done thorough research on the long-term impacts of spanking, and I don't mean like hitting and abuse. I mean like spanking versus more gentle ways of parenting, which doesn't mean letting your kid run the roost. It doesn't mean letting them lead your whole entire house and wear the pants in the family. It just means disciplining in a teaching way, because that's actually what discipline means anyways. The word discipline means to teach, not to hit and like punish. I don't believe that teaching kids not to do something or to do something based on fear that they're gonna be spanked is appropriate or helpful or mentally safe at all. Are there kids who have been spanked and grown up fine? I just said Anthony has. Yes, there's plenty of kids that have turned out fine. But when there is another way or several other ways to discipline a child without doing that and have the kid turn out just as good or thrive just as much, then why not make that choice? So yes, I am in a box. I am firmly no spanking. Now, let me put a little disclaimer here. I also try not to be a judgmental person. So yes, I am in that box of no spanking, and there's a couple other things on this list where I am in a box in, but that doesn't mean that I am like, oh my gosh, you're a horrible parent if you spank your children. I just, all I want is for people to educate themselves in every area that they possibly can and make the decisions that they make with as much knowledge as possible, instead of doing something because it's how their parents did it or whatever other reason may be given. The next thing is baby piercing, and this is another one I'm kind of in the gray area about, because for this one I feel like this is the parent's choice. We believe in free will and bodily autonomy, especially in general, but even when we have babies and kids. And so for as many decisions as we can make that allow bodily autonomy and free will, that's the decision we make, and piercing comes into that. We decided before we even had kids that we were not going to be piercing their ears until they were old enough to say that they wanted that done to their bodies. So that is our personal belief about it. Again, I don't judge anybody who chooses otherwise. I just, that's just how we feel about it, and that's one of those gray area topics. The next topic is circumcision, and this is another one where I'm actually comfortable being in a box. I am completely against circumcision. I have family and friends who have made the decision to circumcise their baby boys, and I love them just the same as before they made that decision. So this is not a dig towards anybody, but I have done thorough research on this topic, and it is one that I am comfortable being in a box of being anti-circumcision. Breast milk or formula feeding is the next one, and this one is a very touchy subject with a lot of people. I don't think it's a debate that breast milk is healthier than formula. I don't think it's any debate that it is the best perfect food you can give your baby, but there are so many reasons why women are not able to breastfeed. I had a really, really hard time with it, and if I hadn't been a stay-at-home mom, it would not have been an option for us, because I did not respond to a pump, and I was basically feeding constantly, which is going to be interesting with this baby and 2 kids and homeschooling and running 2 businesses. Man, it's going to be interesting for sure, but there are so many reasons why women can't, and obviously formula is there and a great option. So I am in the camp of do what is best for your family, for your mental health, for your body, and for your baby. Co-sleeping. So this is another one I'm in the gray area on. We personally chose not to intentionally co-sleep with our kids. If you define co-sleeping as laying in the bed with you, I am not comfortable with that, as just our family just because of the risks associated with it, but I know there are also great benefits of it. So I am in the camp of you have to do what is best for your family. For this baby, we are going to be sharing our master bedroom. We are kind of splitting it into 2 rooms, and the baby will be in the crib, ideally. Obviously, I don't know how this is gonna go until it happens. But that's the plan for now, is for the baby to be in the crib. Schooling, homeschool versus private school versus public school. And until about 2 months ago, I could easily have said that I am in the gray area camp of do whatever is best for you. And I still kind of am. We have chosen to homeschool our children for various reasons, and if you want to know why and kind of the path that we took and what that looks like, let me know and I'll make a separate video on that. I know homeschooling is not an option for some people. It's definitely, honestly, I think it's an option for anybody who really wants to make it happen. But it takes a lot of effort. I mean, there are families who both parents work full-time and they homeschool their children in the evening and on weekends. So I think almost anybody can make it happen if they wanted to. Bad enough if they felt like they were able to and everything kind of worked out in that way. If homeschooling is something that is on your heart, I am 100% fully behind that. And what changed my mind on this was reading this book by John Taylor Gatto. I think it's Gatto. No, it might be Gatto. I think it's Gatto. It's 2 T's, Gatto. And it's called Dumbing Us Down, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling. And there are so many things in this book that completely opened my mind to the downfalls of the public school system and how it all works, and even somewhat the private school system. He's actually a New York school teacher, even at the time of writing the book. So he has an inside knowledge and inside look into what that looks like. And it's honestly scary to think about the things that he talks about. So I definitely encourage you to go read that, whether you're a homeschooler or not. Just if you have children in general, read that book along with as many other books about homeschooling versus private schooling versus public schooling that you can, and make the best decision for your family. But I can say, after reading that book and being a tutor for students for the last 8 years or so, if there is an option other than public schooling, I think you should take it. The next topic is vaccinations, and this might be the most hot button topic on this list. And all we can do is, I keep saying this, but educate ourselves and get as much knowledge as possible consistently, not just like, okay, I'm gonna have a baby, let me do all this research, and then let me not like look up anything ever again. It's consistent, ever changing. The science, I saw something the other day, it says the only thing that beats good science is even better science. So, and that kind of pertains to this as well. So is looking into as many different sources as you can, again, on both sides of the debate. So if you are pro-vaccination all the way, make yourself read anti-vax material, make yourself listen to an anti-vax podcast, or read an anti-vax book, or look at published peer-reviewed journals about the topic, because at least you're doing yourself a favor by being completely as well-rounded as you can be. And the vice versa is true. If you're anti-vax, make yourself read these things about pro-vaccination. Make yourself uncomfortable, because if you're uncomfortable, then you know you're expanding your knowledge base and you're doing it right. So again, it doesn't mean it's going to change your opinion, but it might not, but at least you'll be more knowledgeable and be able to relate more to whichever side of the debate you are not on. We personally have chosen to vaccinate our children, and this is another area where I don't believe it's my choice or my right to force someone else to make that decision. I think free will is important, and I think that parents should be able to make that choice on their own, especially because the fact in this specific thing, especially, there is science on both sides of the debate that is compelling. So it's really a tough area. There's really not a lot of conclusive stuff one way or the other. And so because of that, all we can do is get as informed as we can to make the best decision as we can for our families, but that's what we have chosen to do, and I totally respect your decision if that is not what you have chosen to do. I have 2 more on here. One is cloth versus disposable diapers. I don't think anybody would argue against the fact that cloth diapers are way more environmentally friendly. They're way less toxic. Again, kind of with like the homeschooling thing, like if you're willing to put in that effort and time that it takes to do that, I think that should be a choice that you make. That is one thing that I really want to be able to do, but I cannot get Anthony on board with that because he has a very, very weak stomach, and if he can't just throw away a poopy diaper and never look back at it again, I probably would be the one changing all of the poopy diapers. Not to say that it doesn't kind of stay on my conscience a little bit with how much waste we are creating, and it kind of irks me a little bit, but you pick and choose your battles. And then the last one is the cry it out method. And this one's a tough one because a lot of people, like some people think cry it out is one thing and some people think it's completely a different thing. So I'm gonna kind of talk about the extreme. First, one end of like putting your baby in the crib and letting the baby cry and cry and cry until they finally fall asleep. That is, I am in a box of no way. I am completely against that. At that point, the baby is not falling asleep because they're learning how to self-soothe. They're falling asleep because they have learned to give up on you, to completely not be able to trust you to take care of them when they need to be taken care of. Even if you believe their basic needs are met, especially with babies under 6 months old, it's not possible to spoil them. So I'm firmly in the nope, never could do it, don't think anybody should box when it comes to that extreme. Now on the other end of the spectrum, people who believe cry it out is like, I think I've heard people call it like modified cry it out, where you put your baby in the crib or wherever their sleep spot is, and then you leave the room and then you let them fuss for a few minutes. If they're going to fuss, then you go back in and you just kind of soothe them without picking them back up and go back out, and then keep doing it as many times as you need to. That is one that I am completely for. That is what worked with Bailey and with Quinn. So, and then of course there are like kind of in between people who believe different things in between those two extremes. But with the girls, we didn't do this until they were 6 months old, because again, you can't spoil a baby that's younger than 6 months old. They're crying because they need something or they're uncomfortable or whatever the case may be. So that is it for the controversial parenting tag questions. Again, I just encourage you not to label yourself. If you catch yourself saying, I am whatever, just stop yourself. I am Democrat. I am a Republican. I am a dancer. I am anything. Because when you label yourself, it does yourself a disservice, because it automatically puts you into a box. No matter what the case may be, it puts you into a box, and people make assumptions and stereotypes based on what that box is known for. It's not I am a Democrat, it's I believe certain things more socially liberal than others, but I can fall on either end of the spectrum. It's not I am pro-choice or I am pro-life. It puts you in this box and people start making assumptions based on that label. So do yourself a favor, don't label yourself, don't put yourself into a box. Force yourself to get comfortable in that uncomfortable gray area, and force yourself to soak in as much knowledge as you can on topics before you make decisions on them, especially when it comes to parenting and your family choices and things like that. Because the only thing that it can do is make you a more well-rounded person in general, and that can't be a bad thing. I want to put a little disclaimer here before we close this out that I love healthy debate, and commenting your opinions on things, or if you disagree with me on something down below, is more than welcome in a respectful, polite, and adult manner. I would love to hear your opinions, and if I'm missing something, if I'm completely ignorant on something that I was talking about, please let me know, because that again helps me be a better person. But do so in a tasteful way, not an attacking way. Same thing to people who are commenting. If you're replying to them, be tasteful or it will be deleted, because bullying and judgment is something that I want to keep away from this channel. So let the healthy debate begin in the comments. For now, remember to stay humble, be kind, and I'll see you on Friday for the next episode of Focused Friday.
Jump into the